Hello all, and see, if you're patient, you will get wrestling vids. You just have to be patient because there's just not a lot of wrestling that I feel like talking about. A lot of stuff I've talked about ad nauseum, and so it's like, how many times do I have to say the same stuff over and over again? That said, I actually had time to watch a wrestling event, which has been very rare the past 9 months, I would say. Where I could actually watch it when I wanted to watch it. So I actually watched Survivor Series tonight. But before I get there, I want to talk about something. I have joined, and I'm sure probably many people maybe on here have as well. I got an invite from the WWE to join their like survey thing that they send out, ask how they're doing, ask about pay-per-views and this sort of thing. And it's very interesting. And if you and my I have uh, been pretty good about doing the surveys. My one thing is that the surveys are set up in a way to where you could answer it one way and mean something completely different from what maybe the WWE like perceives, and that's kind of a problem. There is a little comment section, but the thing is that all the surveys I've gotten so far are nothing, or only have to do with the pay-per-views. They have nothing to do with the TV, and to me, the TV is the bigger problem than the pay-per-views. The pay-per-views are what the pay-per-views are, and one of the biggest problems with the pay-per-views is that you're not putting on good enough TV to where no one gives a crap about the pay-per-views. Maybe I'm wrong in thinking this, and maybe people can say, oh no, that's not the way that you need to do it. But to me, in my mind, you set up the match on pay-per-view, and then once you get to the pay-per-view, you give the people, you know, the reason why the people turn in is so that they can see how the match is going to end, and you have to give them a match. Now, maybe sometimes you give them a comedy match because that's what the characters, you know, that's the type of match that you need to do for the characters. Maybe sometimes you do a gimmick match. Maybe sometimes there's all sorts of ways you can do the match. But I think, and when you get to the pay-per-view, then you have to do the matches the right way so that people feel like they're getting the the ending, or they're getting some sort of satisfaction at the end of whatever the storyline or feud or whatever is. And so it's been kind of weird to me that I keep getting asked pay-per-view questions, and I've yet to be asked, you know, about the television. And to me, that's the bigger problem, is the television. You have 3 hours of Raw, which makes it very hard to get through. I can't remember the last time I watched a whole Raw. Then you've got what? Now you have main event. You have then you have SmackDown. You have NXT if you want to watch NXT and you know how to find NXT. You have all this stuff you can watch, and yet, you know, it's not like any of it is great and wonderful stuff. Not enough people watch SmackDown that are hardcores that are gonna watch, you know, the pay-per-views. You can see that when you have feuds that just happen on SmackDown and they get the pay-per-views. The 9 times out of 10, the matches are flat, except maybe for like the World Championship matches. Then those are the only ones that aren't. But everything else is pretty much flat because the fans don't care. You haven't given them a reason to care. You know, when the WWE is given, you know, hasn't given people a reason to care about a lot of these characters for a very long time. So, so I find that very odd that they do that. And they sent me one before Survivor Series, and I said yes, I would watch it. And you know, for example, they asked what match were you most looking forward to, and I said, you know, the main event. The main event was the match I was most looking forward to. That said, um, you know, it was because it was kind of by default because none of the other matches did anything for me. And there's not a lot to that. Now, there is a little comment section that you can do at the end of these surveys, but I don't know if anyone actually reads them or not. That said, so I just wish that, you know, the WWE would kind of wake up and realize that, you know, they need to fix the TV, and then worry about the pay-per-views, because until you fix the TV, the pay-per-views don't matter really. So there is that. That said, I did watch Survivor Series tonight. Um, I don't know. I wouldn't say it wasn't a great show. I would say it was, you know, I would not pay for it. I would say that this is not a show worth paying for. I would say it was an okay show. It wasn't definitely anything horrible, I didn't think. But we'll get into it. We had the pre-show match, which was Santino Marella, Zack Ryder versus Jinder Mahal and Heath Slater. Jinder Mahal and Heath Slater and Drew McIntyre doing their boy band gimmick, and I was just, you know, every time I see it, I'm like, can we get like 3 count to come back, because that was so much better. But anyways, we'll never see that. Match was what it was. It was there. Then we started off the pay-per-view with, with a match, with a traditional Survivor Series match that was not even hyped, was not even talked about. It was thrown together last minute and was thrown on the show. So you got Brodus Clay, Tyson Kidd, Justin Gabriel, Rey Mysterio, Sin Cara versus TENSAI, Titus O'Neil, Darren Young, Primo, and EPICO. There you go. And the fans, for the most part, didn't care about it because, excuse me, because why should they? You didn't give them a reason to care about a match, and this is one of my biggest gripes with WWE. And actually, every time I do one of these surveys, I always say that that the non-advertised matches have to stop, because the crowd just sits there. It hurts the pay-per-view. It hurts the matches. Guys are just out there going. And this was a good match that the crowd just kind of sat there because it didn't have any build-up. Nobody. It was fun to watch, and it had some cool spots, and it had some cool things, and they gave them tons of time, but you know, which they needed to, which is always my gripe about these Survivor Series matches. I don't think they give them enough time. They gave them enough time, and it was good. And you know, it was kind of what it was. Then we got the women's match, Eve Torres versus KAITLYN. I went to the bathroom. I'll completely agree. I'll completely talk about that. As soon as they did the thing at in the back with the blonde wig, guys like that, whatever. Then we got Antonio Cesaro versus R-Truth, and as I said on Twitter when this happened, I said, oh wow, this will be a good match that no one will care about. And for the most part, this was a pretty good match that nobody cared about. So they went out there, they had a pretty good match, and that was about it. Nothing fancy. The crowd didn't care about it, because why should they care about it? Again, there you go. Then we had Big Show versus Sheamus. Thought this was good. Definitely wasn't as good as they did last time. Also, the finish was kind of weak. Again, you have to give people. I shouldn't say it was weak. It definitely built up for tables, ladders, and chairs, but it was still, you know, it didn't need to be the way it was. It was a fuck finish, and you didn't really need a fuck finish here, I didn't think. Then you had Team Foley taking on Team Ziggler. I thought this was fairly enjoyable. Another good match. They gave them time. Was probably the best match of the night, I would say. Well, maybe not. The main, it'd be close. But it was a really fun match. They gave the guys time. They let them go out there. They did their thing. The Orton Ziggler stuff at the end was really good. Ziggler went over, so that was kind of surprising and fun. Then we had the main event, which I'm sure everybody in the world is talking about, where you had CM Punk taking on RYBACK, taking on John Cena. I was really digging this match for a long time. I think they used RYBACK the best way they could. They used him as a monster. They had John Cena and CM Punk actually take him out together so that they could both try to win. For the most part, I think everything made sense. And then we had 3 guys jump into the ring, start attacking RYBACK, destroyed RYBACK. We found out they were, let's see, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. Which, you know, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, people have been waiting for years for these guys to be brought up. Being brought up, everyone got very excited, and I can understand that. My biggest thing would be, you know, how are they going to use them at the end? Because that's probably more important. Still really liked the match. I thought it was, you know, I didn't have any problems with it, even with the run-in. We have to see what the run-in means. If WWE doesn't basically, if the run-in isn't explained, or isn't even, you know, if Punk doesn't come out and at least talk about the run-in, or, you know, we get some sort of thing at the start of Raw, then I think it's for naught. If this is just, you know, so Ryback can kill 3 dudes, this is gonna be horrible. There needs to be, you know, they have to build guys. I was on Twitter all night and I was tweeting, and people, you know, we're talking about like Ryback and the fact that, you know, Ryback got, you know, looked really good in this match and was made to look, in a large part, very good in this match. And it was kind of surprising in a lot of ways that he was made to look, I would say, almost as, man, my hands are dry, so good. But and some people were saying that. I shouldn't say that I thought that, but some people were saying that. My thing is, next to Sheamus, I really think this is the guy that WWE looks at and go, ooh, this is going to be, because in their minds, this guy, you know, this guy is pretty much, you know, a star in their minds, and so it's kind of, you know, that's why they want to push him so hard, as opposed to other guys who could probably, you know, given the chance, I think could get over more, and guys in the past who probably given the chance could have gotten over more. But yeah, you know, but the match I thought was pretty good. I thought the ending made sense. It kind of sucks that we got, you know, 2 fucky finishes, you know, 2 months in a row, I would say, because, you know, that does suck. So anyways, yeah, that's really all I have to say. Like I said, this was okay. I definitely didn't think it was horrible. Was it worth the money? Fuck no. Very few of the WWE pay-per-views are worth the money. They need to realize that. They need to realize that, you know, that they have definitely, I think, overpriced the pay-per-views. People are apparently buying them, so well, some people are buying them, I guess. But they're definitely not getting enough people to buy them, so what are you going to do? I've rambled on long enough. But really, that's really all I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk more about the fact that, you know, it seems like, again, they're asking the fans, whoa, why aren't you watching, you know, why aren't you ordering the pay-per-views? And the answer should be, why isn't the TV getting you to order the pay-per-views? And that's probably not an easy thing to do in a survey. But I think if you follow the ratings and you did a survey and you kind of mismatch the two, I think you would start getting your answers to that question. And not just, and I'm not saying that just as, you know, a smart fan. I'm saying that as a fan in general, because it's definitely, you know, it is, you know, it is what it is. You can't change the fact that you can't fact that it's not relating to anyone. It's not relating to the hardcores. It's not relating to the casual fans. It's not really relating to anyone. I mean, to the point where, you know, I work with somebody and they all know that I like wrestling, and so we were talking and she was telling me about her story, because I always have to hear the story about, you know, when they found out it was fake, and it was a Sting versus Hogan match. And I'm sure somebody out there remembers which match this was. I don't, but apparently Hogan, like WCW and their great and wondrous camera crew, caught Hogan blading himself, and that's when she knew it wasn't fake. But she said that she had, you know, that she'd turn in every once in a while because she really liked it. She would watch it with her dad, and that it was far too soap opera-y. And then I explained my part of it, and I said, well, the soap opera part is okay. The problem is that if the soap opera doesn't get you interested in the match, and the soap opera aspect, okay, takes over, is more important than what's going to happen in the ring. You know, it is a pseudo sport. You use the storytelling aspect to get people interested in the match, and then you do what you do in the ring. And they need to do this. And often I think the storytelling aspect overseeds, and we get the storytelling aspect far more than we get the um, you know, they get the story that goes way over the pseudo sport, and it needs to be like this, not like this. Um, so, you know, I thought that was a good thing too. But anyways, I'm done. I'm finished. This is probably gonna suck, but I don't really care. Anyways, later.